Sup gang, Sheetz here with a 13 Mists of Tirna Scithe. This is the key that got me over 3k. Pretty excited to share it with you all. A little bit of a sloppy last boss. As I've mentioned in past streams, it's my least favorite boss. Big pain in the ass, but we got there. Solid group all around. Unfortunately the ret got me in DPS. Ignore the details right here as that's from another run, but here are my character stats. My talent loadout is in the description, and here we go. As always, be sure to join my Discord where you can get all my UI, weak aura, and add-on info and just chat, and please subscribe to my channel. So this dungeon can be hit or miss for sure. I actually ran 7 13s before we timed this one. Most of them bricked either at this opening pull or on the first boss, believe it or not. One of them bricked in the middle of the maze, and it was just unfortunate. We pulled in some extra mobs from the next section, and they ended up being 2 of the more difficult ones, and healer just couldn't keep up. So this opening pack, you're going to pull in 2 groups of spike claws into the villager pack. Your prio target is the villager while keeping kicks on the harvester. There are some curses that go out, so if you can decurse those as a shaman, that's great. But you want to do your standard opener, so hopefully you've preloaded your tempest, so you can send out a chain lightning, send wolves, primordial wave, lava lash, and then go right into your ascendance. And if you have the trinket, pop that, pop your pot, and send the tempest so it hits everybody. Activate doom winds, and then just blast off with wind strike over and over, manually sending those tempests. So as a quick reminder on ascendance and tempest, if you're in AoE, manually send the first tempest. And it's smart now, so if the splash damage hits more than one target, it'll auto prime your wind strike to be chain lightnings instead of lightning bolts. So you send that first tempest, and then you can just spam wind strike over and over, but still manually send your tempests, as wind strike will only spend 5 maelstrom at a time, and it won't send your tempest if you're primed to chain lightning, which is kind of helpful, so it can let you manually send at full 10 maelstrom stacks. If you're in single target, it gets a little trickier. You want to send a lightning bolt or tempest to start so that it is primed to that, but then it'll auto send your tempests at 5 stacks. Now thankfully most of the time you're already at 10, so just make sure when you see a tempest about to come up, you manually send it at 10 stacks to get the most DPS. But if you're still kind of new to shaman and you don't want to think about it, just slam wind strike over and over when you're on single target and you'll be fine. So back to dungeon stuff. After that villager pack at the beginning, we skip the next pack by the AUG putting sleepwalk on that closest mob so we can walk by. Then you have this 5 pack with 2 kicks and then 2 stronger mobs. It's not too bad, just burn them down, make sure you get the kicks in, and then open that side room, go grab the green mushroom. That'll give you a 10% boost to all your primary stats. So then we're going to go over to these 2 big guys here. They can do some serious damage, so make sure you have some defensives ready for their AoE. I pop Ascendance here just because we want to burn them down as fast as we can. This is the pull before the boss, and on the boss you don't want to pop Ascendance right away. You want to wait until the damage phase. We'll get to that in a second. But these guys will drop brambles around the room. You can see those little puddles with like roots sticking out. Don't stand in those. If you get stuck in one, it's going to slow you down big time and just do pulsating damage. So try to just be on the move constantly. You can see there I do a feral lunge to get past them rather than running around. That's actually a new tech I've started using, is the feral lunge. It's not even a tech, it's just an ability. I saw Zorthus using it in one of his runs, and I had never even considered using it before just for the utility of it. So that's been a game changer, using feral lunge. The fact that I haven't used it until now is pretty pathetic, but here we are, we're learning. So you burn these guys down, and that will trigger the boss RP to now be targetable. You have 2 bosses here, Malik and Ulfarin. Malik is the prime target for who you want to kill, that's the actual boss. Ulfarin is the tree. That thing is mind controlled, so you want to DPS the mind controlled tree first, as while it's mind controlled you do less damage on Malik. So primary target right away is the tree. While that's happening, Malik is doing casts that you need to kick. You can see it right there, the Spirit Bolt. It can be a little tricky in pugs. You can certainly overlap your kicks, so just try to be mindful of who's kicking when and pick an order that you know you can get the kick in. If it goes off, there's a good chance it'll kill whoever it's targeting, so super crucial that you do that. Malik will also cast periodically Repulsive Visage, which is an AoE fear. As a shaman, just drop a Tremor Totem. You should have it off cooldown for every one of those. If you don't drop it, you're trolling, and the group will be really mad. Make sure you dodge the frontal from the tree, and when it gets to 20%, it becomes friendly, and then Malik becomes fully targetable to do 100% damage. So that's when you lust, and that's when I pop Ascendance, Trinket, the whole routine, Doom wins, and then just target Malik and burn him down as fast as you can. Ideally, you get him below half HP on this first phase. It makes it so that you should be able to two-phase him, which is pretty much what you need to time this on the higher keys. I don't think we actually kill him on the second phase, but we get close, and it's close to the point where while the tree is up in phase 3, we can still target Malik, and even though it's reduced damage, we can kill him fast enough. The rest of this fight is just rinse and repeat, so I'm going to fast forward through that so we don't have to sit here and watch. But again, make sure you're dodging the frontals, get your kicks in, put the tremor down for the fear, and then he's dead. So once he's dead, it opens the door to the next room. You want to make sure you grab this acorn off to the left. The tank just grabbed it. That's your respawn point, so if you die in this next phase, you don't have to go back to the dungeon entrance, you can respawn right there. Now begins the maze. I personally am not really good at the maze. I just rely on my group, something that I've been meaning to learn well, and I do have an add-on that kind of tells me where to go, but other than that, it's just kind of confusing. I do know that you want to watch where the little butterfly goes. That's the second boss. At this beginning section, she's going to go into one of these 3 doorways. If she goes left, which she does here, you know that's where your next door is. From there, the next 2, I think there's some strategy on how to figure it out. There's like a pre-planned path. I don't really know what it is, but thankfully the tank knows, so I'm just following him. So for the maze, you're going to go through 5 rooms of enemies before you reach the boss, Mistcaller. Depending on your maze, your adds in each room will be different. It just depends on which path you end up having to take. For us, this first room had 2 Mistveil Defenders and 2 Mistveil Stalkers. The Defenders cast Mist Ward, which creates an area that reduces damage taken to enemies by 30% and pulsates damage to anyone standing in it. Tank needs to move those mobs away and everyone else just needs to stay out. They also cast Expel, which targets a random player for a charge that does physical damage and a knockback. The other 2 mobs in the room are the Mistveil Stalkers. They are annoying little foxes that apply a bleed. Just kill them. At this point, I'd like to apologize for not having my details streamer mode enabled, so you can't see what I'm casting, but I'll have it up for future videos. This next room, we have another Mistveil Defender and another Stalker. In addition, we have a Mistveil Guardian and a Stinger. The Guardian, you pretty much just want to kill as fast as you can, as they get a 3% damage buff per enemy nearby. And the Stinger is applying Anima Injection to random players, which causes damage, but then he does Anima Detonation, which I'm about to get. It puts an AoE circle around you that you need to move away from the group. Most of the time, it can be removed. In this case, the pally throws bubble on me, so it just removes it immediately and everyone's okay. On to our next area, we have again a Guardian, Stinger, and Stalker. We've seen these already, and now we're adding a Tender and a Shaper. They each have casts that are very important to kick. The first one for the Shaper is Bramberthorn Coat. This applies a shield to one of the enemies. If it goes off, then once the shield is gone, it applies a root and pulsating damage to all players around them. So very crucial that you kick that one. The next one is from the Tender, which is simply a heal, Nourish the Forest. Again, pretty important that you kick that one too. You'll also see now my weak aura for the maze is popping up. So at this point, I can tell which direction we're going to go in. And that's this little icon in the top left. So you can see number 8 at the bottom is where we came into this room, and it's telling me that number 15 to the right is the correct path to take. I'll add the add-on and weak aura for that in the description, so check it out. So for our next room, we reach a Mistweave Matriarch, which is a dragon. This has 3 abilities to watch out for: Radiant Breath, Pool of Radiance, and Shred Armor. Radiant Breath is a frontal that does big damage and disorients the target, so make sure you dodge that. Pool of Radiance you just need to move out of, and the tank needs to make sure they move the dragon out of it, as it does a 4% heal every second. And then there's also Shred Armor, which the healer and tank need to be aware of. It does big damage and then increases all damage done by 20% for the next 20 seconds. So after the dragon, we have one more room that's just more of the same mobs, so I'm going to let this one play out. Fast forward. So now we're in the second boss room, Mistcaller. This is the little butterfly that started the maze. A couple mechanics to keep in mind here. First of all, she's going to spawn a little fox that's going to target a player. You need to CC that fox as much as possible, and the tank needs to move the fox away. If it hits the target, it'll kill it. She also sends out orbs at each player that spawn these arrows on the ground. The arrows are stationary, so just move out of them. And then she does the guessing game, which is similar to the maze. She's going to spawn 4 clones of herself that each have a symbol above them. Now, the benefit of me doing these videos is it forces me to go read up on these mechanics. So since I started recording the maze video and now, I have taken the time to research how to actually do this puzzle. Because historically, again, I just rely on the rest of the group and wait for them to tell me who to attack. So the way this puzzle and the maze puzzle works is you have these series of icons. There's a flower and a leaf, and there's going to be different variations of showing the flower and the leaf. It'll either be filled in or not filled in, or it'll have a circle around it. And when you get the puzzle, there'll be 4 different options. You want to find which one is the odd man out. So if 3 of them have a circle and the other does not, that's your target. If 3 of them are filled in and 1 is not, that 1 is your target. If 3 are the leaf and 1 is a flower, the flower is your target. So doing this on the fly can be tricky, which is also why I just rely on the group. But now that I know what to do, I can finally contribute. So once you've identified your target, you want to burn it down, as the boss is immune to all damage, or I think at 99% damage reduction, so essentially immune. Kill that target. If you kill the wrong target, you'll pretty much wipe, so don't do that. And then it's rinse and repeat for the rest of the fight. One last note for the fox, which is technically a Volpera, whatever. As a shaman, you can throw down Earth Grab Totem to help CC and be helpful. Once you're done with this boss, she'll realize you're friendly and clear the mists of Tirna for you. You jump down, land in a pool, and go to these first few mobs right here. Now, a lot of groups will actually skip this either with a rogue or a priest, or use a sleepwalk from an AUG, but this tank just decided to run right in, which is fine. I actually prefer this, so if somebody dies they can run back, as there's another acorn respawn point right at this pool we jumped in. Make sure somebody in the group grabs that, otherwise if you die you respawn back at the beginning of the maze and it takes forever to get back. So these 3, this big guy will cast Stimulate Resistance that needs to be kicked. If it doesn't, then it reduces all magic taken for his friends by quite a bit, so that's an important kick to get off. Random players will get a green circle around them, move that away from the group. Once that pack's dead, you move to the next pole, which is usually a big one. The tank will grab this pack to the right and then pull them in to this big pack on the left. This is a great spot for Ascendance. It's also a good spot to use Poison Cleanse Totem, as random players will get a poison. There's that same cast from the last pack in this one, so make sure you kick that. Giant green pools will be spawned on the ground. Get out of those, move the green circle that spawns around you away from the group, and just burn them down. But this can be a very tricky pull and can cause wipes, so just be mindful of what you're doing and mostly your footing. The rest of these pulls are pretty boring, to be honest, so I'm going to fast forward through them. We do go past the boss to pull a pack or 2 to get percent, and then we pull the boss, so we'll let this play out. And now we get to the final boss, Tredova, the bane of my existence. If you were watching my stream this night, you probably heard me say I hate this boss a good 10 or 15 times. I do die twice during this, so don't be shocked. A few things to watch out for here that'll really mess you up. First of all, you want to make sure you stack as a group. We all were stacked, but the tank went to the other side, so that was a little bit hairy at the beginning, and the AUG for some reason wasn't stacking, at least not the whole time. But the reason you want to stack is the boss will cast Acid Expulsion, which spits a glob of acid at all nearby players' locations, inflicting 1.1 million nature damage to any player within 4 yards of impact. As Tredova gains intelligence, she will attempt to predict where her enemies will move and also fire globs of acid at those locations. So it's really hard to dodge, and it does a lot of damage and leaves those green pools on the ground. She also casts Mind Link, typically on the tank, which puts a blue line, which is a link between you and the tank. You need to move 40 yards away, which dispels the Mind Link, but while it's active, all damage taken is duplicated on the tank as shadow damage, so you want to move away as fast as you can. Then she'll cast Accelerated Incubation, which summons 4 Gormling larvae. They're going to mark a certain player and fixate on them for 20 seconds, so again, you want to make sure you stack so they can be cleaved down as fast as possible. And then she will cast Gorging Shield. That puts a shield on her. Oh, and there's my first death, yay. But it puts a shield on her that absorbs damage equal to 3% of her maximum health. While this is active, consumption is happening, inflicting a bunch of damage every 2 seconds to all enemies, so you need to make sure you burn down the shield as fast as you can, which then stops consumption. The other 2 abilities she's casting this entire fight is Anima Shedding, which unleashes a blast of anima that impacts at a random location nearby, inflicting a ton of damage to all players within 8 yards of impact. Then the next one is Coalescing Poison. She gathers poison on herself and pulls players in. The concentrated poison explodes after 5 seconds, dealing a ton of damage to all players within 15 yards of impact. Basically, it'll kill you if you get pulled in, so stay away. So all in all, a super annoying fight. I'm going to fast forward the rest of it, but key takeaways are stack on your tank until you get the Mind Link and move away. Watch your feet, don't die like me a bunch of times. Watch out for the larvae, make sure you cleave them down. And that's pretty much it. But man, this fight's a pain in the butt. So while this is ending, I just want to say thank you for keeping up with my videos here. If you've been watching since the beginning, I'm trying to improve on them as I go along, but if you have any notes or comments on how I could improve or other commentary you'd like to hear, please leave a comment below. I want to make these as valuable as possible for you if you're going to dedicate this much time to watching a video like this. So again, I hope you find them helpful, and thanks again for watching. We timed the key and I hit my 3K. And then we all griped about how annoying that boss is. Pretty awesome. So please, again, join my Discord, come say hi, like, share, subscribe to my channel. We'll see you next time.